Hey everybody, welcome back to Guys Night Laboratory. I'm Jesus Velasquez.
I'm Jordan Zacharias.
And welcome back to another episode of Flicks or Treat. And today we're going to focus on a flick, a little scary movie called Cabin in the Woods.
Something I would like to call a new classic.
A new classic, definitely a new classic. This movie came out, I think it was in 2012. It's by
Somewhere around there.
Yeah, it's by Josh Whedon, right?
Is it? Yeah, I think so. I think so.
Because I remember I saw this movie. It's 2012, and it's by Josh Whedon. This movie came out right before Avengers.
I forgot it was Joss Whedon, dude. I'm sorry. I was totally spacing out.
I remember like Avengers was going to come out like in a month, and it was like super
that's
hype.
right,
it was like the first time like Thor, Iron Man, and Hulk, and they were all going to be together. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is the movie of the summer. And then Cabin in the Woods came out. And it's kind of like, screw Avengers. This movie's awesome.
And then you're like, Thor's in this?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Chris Hemsworth. So anyways, Cabin in the Woods, it's kind of like, I guess you would call it now, like a meta movie. It
definitely starts off with like an Evil Dead vibe.
Yes, definitely Evil Dead vibe.
Very confusing in the beginning.
It sets up very like the stereotypical horror movie in the Evil Dead. You got the jock, the nerd, the stoner, or the nerd stoner, I guess you could say the straight playable square guy. He's like the nice guy, like the everyman, like just kind of
black guy, the good girl,
the cheerleader, kind of more scandalous girl.
Yeah.
And then
and they're all great characters. By the way, they're written perfectly.
And then you have these like office guys, and you're just like, there's no explanation on why they're there, and it's kind of like, I don't understand, like, how do these people fit into this movie?
That's what I was saying in the beginning. It's confusing. Because in the very beginning, it seems like you know exactly the kind of vibe of what kind of movie it's going to be, that it's going to be a literal just a cabin in the woods, kind of evil, possessed cabin or woods kind of story. But then it turns into something totally different. It gets very confusing, and then it turns into something magical.
Absolutely. So at this point, I'm just going to let you guys know that from this point on, we can't talk any more about the movie without giving away any spoilers.
Spoiler alert.
So right now, we're going into our spoiler alert.
If you haven't seen it, turn this off, go watch it, and then come back and watch the rest of this.
Because do not listen to us. If you like scary movies, you're a fan of it, and you like gore, not excessive, crazy gore, but just like fun, campy, stuff like that, it's a great movie. It definitely made it into my top, I would say even almost 5, definitely top 10 of all-time horror movies.
Yeah, I would say it's one of the most original horror movies in the past 30 years, hands down.
And so it's amazing. Like I said, if you are a horror aficionado and you like horror movies and you have not seen Cabin in the Woods, you are missing out. You need to go watch it right now. Well, you will not be sorry.
Okay, so that's your spoiler warning. Let's dive into it.
So anyways, what happens is these kids, they're not kids, these college kids go and they're going to the cabin in the woods, and so we got these office guys, and you have no understanding of why they're there and why they're.
And they are great, by the way.
Yeah, they're like they're really awesome. They're funny. They're dry. They are the camp. You know, when we talk about like horror movies like Friday the 13th or Freddy Krueger or Child's Play, when we're talking about the campiness, they are the campiness in this movie. Like, without them, you'd be like, it would be a serious, dark horror movie.
They're the comic relief. Yeah. They're the campy factor.
So what ends up happening is it's almost like 2 different stories, and it's set up perfectly because you're like, am I watching 2 different movies?
Yeah.
And then like towards about the 30-minute mark, they all kind of like intertwine, and you're like, oh, I get it. So what ends up happening is these office guys are actually setting up the college students to kind of like, they're kind of manipulating them or puppeteering them to do what they got to do to technically, I guess you could say, for layman's terms, be in a horror movie. Yeah. And they have to kind of go through the horror movie tropes and the stereotypical
like they release different creatures from like classic creatures.
Yeah, so what happens is in the beginning they have to pick like a totem, and that totem is kind of like what releases the evil spirit or demonic force or monsters. So they find this basement, and there's other totems. So like if you think like Hellraiser, there's the cube, that's the totem.
Right.
Or I guess I can't think of any other. There's other
Phantasm,
the balls. Yeah, so like I guess you could say totems is like Freddy Krueger's claws or Jason's masks or whatever other stuff like that. So or Evil Dead, the Necronomicon. They're reading out of that. Or like the Ouija board, stuff like that. Anyways, so they're all
Chucky's library card.
Chucky's library, yeah, Chucky's library card. Yeah, and Andy's in the corner of the basement. He's like, "Hi guys."
Freddy's Ralph's Club.
Freddy's Ralph's Club. Oh man. So, anyways, they pick a totem, and then they're getting hunted by these zombies. And what's hilarious is like the office people are all kind of taking bets on who's gonna die and all this stuff like that. So they're like I said, the campiness, comic relief, and stuff like that.
It takes you a while into the movie to figure out why they're it seems like it almost seems like it's a lab experiment at first.
Yeah.
But then you learn that there's something way more nefarious going on.
Absolutely. So, because you're like, well, why are they doing this? Okay, so like halfway through the movie, you figure out, okay, they're manipulating this,
and they're really killing these kids.
Yeah.
It's not like a game.
Yeah,
Like you don't know what's going on.
Yeah, it's not like a prank. It's not like AI or virtual reality. Like they're really going around, and these monsters are real. They're not robots. They're not anything. So, it's not like Westworld or anything. So it's really happening, and you figured out, okay, they're intertwined, but then you're kind of like, but why? Like that, you're still you haven't figured out why. So what ends up happening, and I won't go out through the whole movie, but what ends up happening is you look at other nations, and the little small talk that the office is having is that what they're trying to do is they're trying to appease, I guess, like ancient gods.
Yeah, it's like ancient gods at the center of the earth, basically.
Yeah, they're like Titans or something like that. Like they're giants, you know. So if you've ever seen like Attack on Titan, like they're kind of like that in a sense, if not bigger.
Yeah, that's a weird movie.
Yeah, so they're like that. So they're supposed to appease these gods, and by appeasing them, they have to do these sacrifices, and the sacrifices are the stereotypical horror movie tropes, which is the scandalous girl has to kind of die in a way because she's being too promiscuous and having sex and stuff like that. The jock is going to do his jockey alpha male stuff, and then then he dies. The only person that's supposed to survive is the final girl. So, the final girl from like, Friday the 13th or Jamie Lee Curtis.
The main protagonist.
Yeah, the main protagonist is usually the final girl. Take any classic horror movie. And so what ends up happening, and I won't give too much away, is that it's all kind of just thrown out the window. Like it looks in the beginning like the final girl is surviving. And they even mentioned that like, oh, she can survive, but she doesn't have to.
Right.
The gods are appeased and so whatever. But then everything is kind of just, everything hits the fan at that point.
Yeah.
And it gets wild and crazy. And
I don't even want to spoil too much more.
No, I'm not going to talk about that.
That's the gist of the plot, is that they're taking out these kids, but something goes wrong with the bad guys' plans.
Yeah.
And some real magic happens. Amazing creature special effects, tons of gore and blood. But like you said, it's not disturbing. It's not too much, but it's over the top.
Yeah.
It's like an Evil Dead. It's
fun. It's not Saw, like it's not
No.
Saw or Hostel, like gore. It's very like if you've ever seen Dead Alive, that movie's crazy, but it's funny. It's kind of like that, but not even that extreme.
It's just a lot of dark humor.
A lot of dark humor. The gore is like I said, if you've seen horror movies, you'll be fine. If you haven't seen horror movies, then yeah, maybe it's not your cup of tea.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, the gore isn't like disturbing, like, oh my gosh, I need to turn away. I know my wife would hate it because she doesn't like scary movies.
Oh yeah.
But like someone that does like scary movies, they'd be laughing. They'd be
Oh
like,
yeah, there are parts where
Yeah.
you'll be laughing.
yeah,
out loud.
you're laughing. You're not kind of thinking like, oh my gosh, like I can't sleep at night. That was very disturbing. It was just, it's comical and it's campy. That's the best word.
You'll watch it and you'll end it with a smile on your face.
Yes,
Going, that
you'll
was
be
great.
like, that was amazing. So I mean, that's pretty much Cabin in the Woods. I don't want to, like I said, I don't want to spoil the ending. I don't want to spoil the big, not reveal, but just the payoff at the end.
Set aside one night to watch it this year.
Absolutely. This is, like I said, this is a new classic. It came out 8 years ago, which is crazy to think that it's that old because I just watched it a couple months ago. But
For me, again, though, instant classic.
absolutely, this is one of those movies that's going to go down. Like not as an iconic because it doesn't have like a one specific iconic killer, but it's definitely going to be like a Halloween. You don't even have to watch it at Halloween. You can watch it anytime. Like I said, I watched it like probably like in like May or June just because like, oh, I want to watch this.
Yeah.
But it's definitely a scary movie classic and a movie that should be modeled and maybe I don't want to say imitated or copied or reboot, but like a movie that I definitely look at and think, oh, I like this idea. I want to like run with it or kind of adapt a different idea. Yeah. So definitely check out Cabin in the Woods this Halloween. If you're into scary movies and stuff like that. Like I said, it came out in 2012. It's by Joss Whedon. Joss Whedon has a pretty good track record of making good movies, and he makes pretty good horror movies too. So check out Cabin in the Woods, and we'll talk to you next time. Take care, guys.
And beware, last word of advice, watch out for the merman.
The merman. Yes, that's right. And remember, there is a difference when you put in your bets that there's a difference between zombies and redneck killing zombies.
Exactly.
All right. Take care, guys. Bye.